Hey, in this video, we're going to go over the 5.4 notes and the 5.4 homework. So in this section, we're going to use medians and altitudes. Okay, key thing, both of these, okay, so both originate at the vertex. So those are the corner angles of a triangle. Okay, so both of these start there. Okay, first one, the median of a triangle is a segment, as I said, from a vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. And the three medians of a triangle intersect at the centroid. So we have to draw these. So where am I going to start? I'm going to start at the vertex and go to the midpoint. That is a median. Okay, so it's going to divide that in half. Let's find another midpoint. And I'm going to just roughly say that looks about right. And I'm going to start from the vertex opposite that side. And there I go. Okay, now I need one more. Let's come over to the far right vertex and let's find that midpoint. Now that's kind of a rough estimate. And then I'm going to start at the vertex and I'm going to draw a straight line right to the median. Okay, so now that point right here, we'll call that Z. Z is the centroid. Now, if you were to draw a triangle and try to balance it on a flat pencil, you would balance it right at the centroid. So if you positioned a flat pencil on the centroid and try to balance that triangle up in the air, you would be successful. Okay, so that's kind of an interesting little fun fact that we might be able to show in class. Okay, altitude. Again, you're starting from the vertex. The altitude of a triangle is the perpendicular segment from a vertex to the opposite side or to the line that contains the opposite side. Okay, so the key thing here is perpendicular. So you have to be able to form a right angle. So there's a right angle. Oops, let me just do that quicker. That's a right angle. So that's an altitude. Okay, so then let's do another one. I'm going to start drawing, since I did it in blue. Let me do it again in blue. Okay, I'm going to come from the vertex, right? And what do I want to do? I want to form a right angle. So if I go down here, I'm not going to form a right angle. I have to kind of do it someplace up there. So that looks like a right angle to me. So we'll put my little red dot right there. Okay, let's do another altitude. So again, I'm going to start from the vertex and I'm going to try to draw it across. I have to hit that opposite side so that I form a right angle. I believe that will do it. Let me do this. Okay, so let me do this quickly. There we go. Okay, what do I now know? I know that those are going to intersect. They intersect right here. That is the orthocenter. Orthocenter. Okay, so ortho means right angle. So that's how it's the orthocenter. Okay? Okay, let me just stop for 1 second. Okay, so I just had to plug in my laptop. You could not tell, but I was just about to die, which would have been terrible for our video. Okay, so let's talk about the theorems. Okay, the theorems are also focusing on the concurrency aspect. So concurrency of the medians. Okay, so the medians, where do they go? From the vertex to middle. You know how a median's the middle of the road? To middle of opposite side. Okay, the medians of a triangle intersect at a point that is 2/3 of the distance from each vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. Oh dear, let's figure out what that means. That means that the distance from, we'll do this in red maybe, from B to P, and what's P called? So that's the centroid, right? The distance from P to B, so BP will equal 2/3 of BF. Okay? And that's going to happen every single time. So we'll do another one in a different color. Let's do blue. So from C to P, CP is going to be 2/3 of CD. And then let's do the last one. AP equals 2/3 of what? AE. So I said this here, but I showed you by the colors. Okay, so let's match up our colors. So this is the green, the BP, that was the red. So that was the red, and that would make the third one the blue. Okay, so the point of concurrency, remember, for the medians, where they all join, that's called the centroid. Okay, it's the balance point in the middle. Okay, it's inside the triangle. Okay, let's keep going. So this is an example. Use the point of concurrency. So what's that? Right here. Use the point of concurrency of the medians of a triangle. So in triangle RST, they want you to name that as Q. Q is the concurrency of the medians. If SQ is 8, they want you to find SW. Well, 8 equals 2/3 of SW. How do you get SW by itself? You would multiply by the reciprocal. 3/2 here, 3/2 here. See how this is going to cancel and become a 1? That leaves you with SW by itself. So what's 3 times 8? That's 24/2, which is 12. So 12 equals SW. So SW equals 12. So that means QW must be 12 minus 8, which is 4. Okay, so we learned something. Look how SQ equals 2 times QW. Okay, so that's nice to know. That will be something very handy later on. And I will tell you that if you recognize that, you can just say, if I know that SQ is 8, then QW has to be half of that, which is 4. And 4 plus 8 is 12, and you're already done. Okay, so picking up these relationships are going to help you tremendously. Okay, so here's P as point of concurrency, and JP is 12. Well, if JP is 12, don't I know that PT is half of that? So PT is going to be 6. And since JT equals JP plus PT, and JP they gave us 12, and we figured out that 6, isn't it true that JT is going to be 18? So there's good little things to figure out about these relationships. So PT was 6 because it was 1/2 of JP. And then JT was 18 because it equaled JP plus PT. Okay? Okay, so that's it for our practice. Now I'm going to help you work through the homework as well. So here we are, 5.4 homework. Let's see what we can figure out. Okay, BD is a median. Okay, so remember what medians do. They divide these in half, right? They come from a vertex, and they divide the opposite side in half. Find the length of AD. Well, AD has to also be 6, since the median cut AC exactly in half. Okay, they want you to find BD is still the median. If BD is the median, remember it comes out of the vertex and it goes across and cuts the opposite side in half, then AD has to be 17. Okay, so let's figure this stuff out. So, oh look, we're going to use some of these formulas that we've used previously. Okay, find the coordinate of D, which is the midpoint of AB. Okay, so if this is B and it's 8, 1, and this is A and it's 4, 5, I want to use the midpoint formula. So to do 3, I'm going to say, since D is the midpoint, I'm going to say D is going to equal x2 plus x1. So let's do 4 plus 8 over 2. And then y2 plus y1. Let's do 5 plus 1 over 2. You see where I'm getting these numbers from? 12 over 2. 5 plus 1 is 6 over 2. So that midpoint's going to be 6, 3. So I'm thinking that D is going to be 6, 3. So 6, 3. Does that make sense in terms of, look at the counting? So 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, that's going to be 6. And I went up 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I would encourage you to count, to check it. Use the formula to calculate the midpoint. Okay, then they want you to find the length of the median CD. Okay, so if it's a median, it must be coming from here and going straight across. And they want that length. What will we do? We're going to use the distance formula. And I'm going to write this again here because it's kind of far away. So that's going to be x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Okay, so we want to take, how about if I say that the 6, 3 is my second point. So that's going to be the 6 is the x2, minus the 2 from the C point, square that, plus, go back up, 3 minus, oh, careful, minus and minus 3 squared. Okay, so let's do a little bit more work with that. All right, 6 minus 2 is 4, and I'm going to square it, plus 3 minus a minus 3 is 6, and I'm going to square that. Okay, so what am I getting? 4 squared is 16, plus 6 squared is 36, so that's going to equal 6 and 6 is 12, then the 2 carry the 1, 3, 4, 5. Radical 52 equals the length CD. Okay, so this equals radical 52. Okay, find the coordinates of E. E is the midpoint of BC. Okay, if it's the midpoint of BC and this is B, then I'm going to have to do the midpoint formula. So let me just make this a little smaller. So I'm going to take that and let's make it a little tiny bit smaller. Okay, well that was okay. Okay, so let me do, this is number 5. So why don't I just box this off. And let's do 5 here. So I'm looking for E. So E equals, look at the midpoint formula. It's going to be 8 plus 2 over 2, comma, 1 plus a negative 3 over 2, comma. Okay, 8 plus 2 is 10. 10 over 2. 1 plus a negative 3 is a negative 2 over 2. So that's going to be 5 comma negative 1 is going to be E. So I'm getting 5 comma negative 1. And let's check. Would I get that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So that's 5 comma negative 1. Again, do the calculation first. Then you can look at the grid and count. Because if I don't give you a grid and you have no knowledge of using the calculation, you're going to be up the creek, okay? Okay, so let's look at the next question. Find the length of AE. So I'm going to draw AE. I think I'll draw it in blue. So from A to E, what is that? Add the vertex to the midpoint, that's a median. So I'm going to do that up here. So I'm going to label this 6, and we're going to use the distance formula so it's right in front of me. So I'm going to say this will be 4 minus 5 squared, because I'm doing A minus E, okay, plus 5 minus, very careful, a minus 1 squared. Okay, so let's go one more step with that. Okay, 4 minus 5 is a negative 1 squared. Keep it in parens. Plus 5 minus a minus 1 is 6. So this is 6 squared. Okay, negative 1 times negative 1 is a 1. Plus 6 times 6 is 36. So this equals radical 37, and you may leave it like that. And that's my answer. Okay, so I like this problem because we use something new, our knowledge of medians, and we were able to calculate midpoints, which are part of medians, and distances. So that was very, very good. Now, what do you think is going to be formed probably right here? That's going to be where they're going to cross, right? Now, they didn't have me do the third one, but my guess is that blue dot will be the centroid. So we're going to leave that as it is. Okay, so let's keep going. So now it says complete the statement for triangle MNP with medians MT, NR, PS, and centroid Q. Okay, there's no way you're going to be able to do that without drawing it. Okay, maybe you can. I could not. So I'm going to draw this. So if I have triangle MNP, okay, so let me draw this better. So here's this line, and then I'm going to connect that. Right? Okay, so that's triangle MNP with medians MT. Okay, so T must be right here. So I'm going to connect from here to here. And NR, so that means that R has to be the midpoint here. So here's NR. Okay, and then PS, so S has to be here, and I'm going to draw from the vertex there. Okay, and centroid will make that kind of a pink. That's going to be the Q. Okay, that's going to help me tremendously. So QR, so from the centroid out to the R, how does that relate to NR? Well, that should be just 1/3, because remember, from Q to N is going to be 2/3. How about MQ? MQ is going to be 2/3, right? Because that's from the vertex to the centroid. So why is the first one 1/3? That is because I'm going from the QR. I'm going from the centroid to the midpoint. That's only 1/3. The next one, I'm going from the centroid to the vertex. Okay, so that's 2/3 of the length versus 1/3 of the length. Okay, so let's see what we have here. S is the centroid. Let's try to decorate this as much as possible. So they told me that RS is 4. So what I know right away is that SU has to be 2. Then they told me that VW is 6. VW. Okay, if that's 6, then because these are midpoints, I know that RV is 6. Then they told me that TV is 9. TV is the whole length. So if TV is 9, then TS equals 2/3 of 9, which is what? That's 18/3. That's 6. If this is 6 and the whole thing is 9, this has to be 3. Okay, let's see if we can answer me these questions. What's the length of RV? I wrote it down already. It's 6. What's the length of SU? I wrote that down. That's 2. How about RU? That's 4 plus 2, which is 6. How about RW? RW is going to be 6 plus 6, and that's 12. How about TS? TS I wrote down as 6. And how about SV? That is 3. How come? Because I knew that TV equaled 6 plus 3, which was 9. Okay? So that's the end of the homework. You have to think this through. You have to be comfortable with how these medians work. Be comfortable with what a centroid does. Be comfortable about that 2/3, 1/3 relationship inside. Okay? And then you'll do this fine. Okay, so that's the end of this video.